Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm just here to talk about the day I was testing the MS Pro and its top speed, and basically top cruising speed, because top speed is totally different than top cruising speed. Sorry, it's very loud outside. But anyway, top speed is basically, the max top speed the wheel could reach before cutout. It doesn't take into account how long it reaches that top, or it's able to maintain that top speed for. But top cruising speed is basically how it's exactly what it says. It's how long you can ride at a top speed without the wheel cutting out. Okay, obviously that also varies because the lower the battery, the lower the top cruising speed is going to be. It's all relative. But on that day, what I did on March 26th, I pretty much rode from this area all the way up and back down several times, up, down, pretty much, feeling the wheel out, trying to see what it's capable of doing in terms of cruising speed. 53 kilometers per hour is not a big deal for that wheel. That translates to, let's see, 53 kilometers per hour, that's 32 miles an hour. That's obviously not a big deal. You can see I was pushing really hard, or the wind must have been crazy, because you can see the power is 29,000, etc. You'll see the drop, the rise, the drop. That's because I kept going up and kept going down. Keep looking for, as I looked for the top speed. So 59 kilometers per hour is also not a big deal. 59, that's 36 miles an hour. You guys should know this from EVX when he first got the wheel. That's absolutely not a big deal. So that's also a top safe cruising speed, 36 miles per hour. But the wheel is capable of doing way more than that for those who dare to try. But if you want to be safe, obviously 36 miles an hour is a safe way to go. Now, as I kept trying more and more during the day, you'll see that I reached 64 kilometers per hour, and that was also no big deal. But the battery was at 73% under load, as you can see. Okay, the power was also not so bad, 39,000 watts. So 64 kilometers per hour, that translates to 39.7 miles per hour roughly. Okay, so during that time I never actually hit 40. Okay, so later in the day I decided to charge up the battery and head out, and try to see if I could reach 40 miles an hour, because 40 miles an hour on the 84 volt is not a big deal. But I always had reservations about the 100 volt MSP, mainly because it's 100 volt, so more current draw, more power draw. Obviously it might need a higher percent under load before it cuts out, whereas the 84 volt, I could go as low as 48, sometimes lower than that if I'm daring, and still reach 39-40 miles an hour without this thing cutting out. And I've never cut out on the 84 volt anyway. But here, let me see, I think it's March 26th. So here, this is where I believe I cut out. So let's zoom in. Yeah, this is where I cut out. And I cut out on Gallivan Boulevard in Dorchester. What's up, guys? I just came from testing out the top speed of the MS Pro. I crashed at 45. I'm not sure if the top speed is 45. I might have crashed at 43 and the wheel just spun. I'm not sure. But I know the top freewheel spin is 49. So I don't know, maybe it is 45. But yeah, don't do 45. I still don't know what the top speed is though. But it did crash at 45. So I don't know what that means. I won't be testing it anymore because this is not my wheel. I didn't intend to crash it. but fortunately there's no destruction, so I'm good. But I did destroy my pants, I did destroy my gloves. My gloves was already destroyed from another crash, the Tesla. My jacket is destroyed, as you can see, and I need a new glove because this is destroyed, but this is a scrape, so it's no big deal. Either way, this is a pretty fast wheel, but don't attempt 45, and definitely don't attempt any top speed over 40, I don't know, 48% under load, because the dip on this one is different than the 84 volt. The 84 volt has a very pronounced dip, so does the Tesla. This one has a very soft dip, and I was riding on hard mode, so the hard mode on here feels soft, medium, and the medium mode feels soft, so that didn't help. But anyway, 45, I crashed at 45, so I'm assuming the touch is probably 42, I don't know, 43, but yeah. And this is what you're seeing right here. This little squiggly is where I cut out. So all this red is pretty much me testing. Now granted, it was a slow day, there was no many cars on the road, and it's a stretch, you know, so I'm used to this stretch. But this right here is where I pretty much cut out. This is where all the activity happened. So if we go down and we take the mouse and we scroll throughout the day, we can see this red dot right here indicates a cutout, in my opinion. I'm not really sure what the ledger says. I see GPS speed is red. I don't see any other indication for what red might mean, but I'm sure it's somewhere. Anyway, this red dot right here indicates, I'm not sure what it indicates, but you can see as I move up the graph, it gets closer and closer to the cutout. So I'm gonna go close as possible to the cutout, to the spot where I cut out. And I'm not sure how this thing is recording this, because if you look, it says 64 kilometers per hour here, but that's not even near the cutout. You see? So 64 kilometers per hour translates to, hold on for a second, is 39 miles an hour, okay? 64 kilometers, 39 miles an hour, 39,046 watts. And I mean, 66% for an 84 volt at 39 miles an hour is not a big deal. At my weight, okay? It's not a big deal. I weigh at the time 180. I'm probably a little more now, but with the backpack and everything, probably around 190. You know what I mean? So so it says here 64 kilometers per hour, and it shows a huge drop, right? So this is clearly the cutout. This is where I cut out. I know because I was there. And if you go further in the day, or later in the day, earlier in the day, you'll see 64 kilometers right here, not an issue. I did not cut out, okay? Over here, let me see. This doesn't make any sense. How is it here, 64 kilometers? And oh, okay, so now I know what happened. I went up and down this street several times. Okay, so I went up and down this street several times, and I've reached 64 kilometers each time that I went up. Here it says 65 kilometers, and I still didn't cut out. And 65 kilometers, that's nothing, I think. That's 40 miles an hour. 65 kilometers is 40 miles an hour, and it's even at a lower wattage, 31 watts. And look at the battery percentage on the load, 63%. So why did I cut out here? I know why I cut out here. I found out. So basically what happened was 64 kilometers. I cut out at 64 kilometers per hour, which is under 40 miles an hour. The reason I cut out, and look, the battery percentage is higher, the watts is higher, which means I was pushing a lot harder. What happened was, I noticed this, my alarm from the EUC World did not alert. So in all my assumptions led to me thinking everything is fine. So I literally just kept pushing. And I had my phone in my hand, but what happened was I wasn't looking because I was expecting for the alert to go off, and it didn't go off. So what happened was I got into the side of the road. I didn't even think about it until a day later. I was talking to my lady about me crashing, and she's like, "You never crash. What happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "The alarm," and out of my mouth, I was like, "Wait a minute. The alarm never went off. This alarm never went off." And it happened again. But this time I wasn't testing. What happened was, sometimes apparently the app malfunctions. I'm not sure if the app itself malfunctions or my phone causes something to cause the app to malfunction. So what I did was I tried connecting to the app. Turn on the wheel, turn on the app, see if it connects. And there are times where it does not connect, and sometimes it does connect. So it'll connect, but there will be no voice. So what I do is I shut down my phone, restart the phone completely, and then try to see if I hear, welcome on board. And then I hear welcome on board after I restart the phone. So sometimes this happens, unfortunately. And that day was just the day it happened for me later in the day. Didn't happen earlier in the day, but it did happen later in the day. So this is another thing that happens is I will launch it.
Welcome on board.
And then I will close the app.
Welcome on board.
It'll say welcome on board even though I closed the app. And I'll wait a few more seconds, and this is what will happen. It shows this, EUC World keeps stopping. So I'll send feedback. Hello, EUC.
Welcome on board.
And it's doing that again. Thanks. And keep up the good work. Between me going home and coming back and charging the battery and coming back several times, I didn't do my check. And usually what I do is I turn on the app, turn on the wheel, and then I listen for a welcome. Then after I hear the welcome, I lift the wheel and I do a check, a sound check, to see if it alerts me at the limit that I set, which is at that time was 39, 38 miles an hour. And I didn't do that. And this is what happened. But what's funny is throughout this entire trip right here, it never alarmed. Now that I think about it. And I was just used to, because I had my phone in my hand, so I was always looking at the speed. But I didn't hear anything saying, hey, your update is you've traveled this distance, or your speed is this, or battery is this, because I was always relying on my phone. So this is exactly what happened. So nowadays I don't do that, obviously, because I don't test wheels that much. I only test it when I get it. So there's not a single wheel that I've owned that I haven't crashed. I've crashed the V5, crashed the V5F, crashed the Tesla, crashed the 84 volt, crashed the MSP, all in testing. Never otherwise, unless it's like something stupid, like, I don't know, a branch in a road or something like that. But either way, when testing, I always try to make sure I cover all bases. But this day I didn't. I think I was too excited. I got a little overexcited because here's the thing. I didn't have the wheel for long. At least I thought I didn't have the wheel for long. So I was trying to find the top speed before I handed it back to eWheels. After I crashed that wheel, I called eWheels, said, hey, can I get a discount on a wheel? And he's like, hey, what about the wheel you have? Would you like it? I'm like, absolutely. He gave me the price and boom, bada bing, I got the wheel. So this is interesting. So I still have to try to understand this graph and how it works. You know, power to speed to battery under load to current, etc. Just try to understand these things, because for someone like me who likes to ride really fast, I don't like to ride recklessly fast. Okay, the only reason I try to find top speed is not so that I could ride at top speed. It's so that I can know the limit of the wheel. So if I know the top speed of the MSP is 40, I don't plan on riding on 40. I plan on riding at 39, 38, 37 comfortably. But never at 40. It's just to know that I have this buffer. You know, a lot of guys are telling me that the 100 volt MSX cruises at 40 miles an hour, no problem. That the top speed is like 45 miles an hour. I mean, I'd love to experience that one day. Until then, this is how I ride my wheels. I find the top speed under load down to 48% where it will cut off. And then I dial it back by 2 miles. You see, 2-3 miles. That way I know whenever that alert comes. But what I plan on doing is I plan on plan on creating something where I don't have to rely on the phone, because I can't be relying on the phone all the time, dude. A car has a speedometer, a bike has a speedometer. I mean, even some bicycles have speedometers, but somehow we don't have speedometers. We have to rely on an app, which is awesome. I love this app, but it would be great to have some type of speedometer where we could rely on regardless of our phones, regardless of Bluetooth. You know what I mean? So that's something I plan on working on. If you guys have any ideas, that'd be great too. But I already have a rough draft of it, so we'll see how that turns out. But I have a habit of starting things and not ending them. But hopefully I could end this one because I really want this. So guys, just a note, be safe out there. Always wear your helmet. I'm just parroting what the Black Cobra released the other day regarding someone crashing, but support him if you can. And basically just be safe. Know your wheel. Our EUCs are way more dangerous than any 2+ wheel machine out there. We have 1 point of failure. If that fails, then that's it. There's not a time where I'm riding that I don't look. If I'm near a fire hydrant and I'm riding, there's not a moment I'm not thinking, how do I, in case I fall, how do I avoid this fire hydrant, or how do I avoid this? Or you always have to somehow get it in your being that you could fall at any time. But what I've learned is the wheel does give you feedback. There are feedbacks, the wheel does give you a certain level of feedback where you can feel whether or not it's about to crash, it's about to give up on you, And I think if you're going to ride aggressive, it's important. If you're not riding aggressive, that's also important to know your wheel. Because, I've crashed at 2 miles an hour and I've scratched myself up in 2 miles, 5 miles an hour. You know what I mean? But just be safe out there, enjoy yourselves, and enjoy this EUC World app. Any ideas you guys have, if you know this thing better than me, please just post a comment in the bottom and let me know what's up, All right, guys, have an awesome one. Till next time.